There was another very interesting presentation by Alan Proudfoot from Xtera Communications talking about effectively recycling cable, redeploying cable and giving it a new lease of life, the different ways that that can be done. So Alan joins me now. Thank you very much for joining Submarine Telecoms Forum. Just give us an overview of the different types of redeployment, recycling as such.
So I looked at three different methods. The first one was at sea, where the cable is lifted by a cable ship and reconfigured on board the vessel and then relayed in the same location or a different location. Off-site, which was taking the cable to a factory. So that was for if there was more considerable reconfiguration required on the cable and less time constraint. And the third method was in situ, where you upgrade the wet plant on an existing system, so you don't need to lift any, or you don't need to remove the cable.
Right. So
Yes.
effectively, the first one is lifting it and redeploying it on board the ship.
Yes.
So putting in additional repeaters if necessary, but effectively having to sort of move the cable around less cost.
Yes.
But clearly, I suppose there are some difficulties, some obstacles to that, depending on how much cable you have to lift.
Yes, I mean, so for using the cable vessel, it's going to be more expensive than using a freighter, so you have to consider how long you're going to be at sea, so it's not suitable for longer systems.
So shorter systems, effectively.
Systems, yes. Whereas when you reconfigure it off-site, that's for much longer systems, and if it's much more extensive reconfiguration, because you've not got the time constraints or the space constraints that you would have on a cable vessel. You've got a whole quayside to play with.
Okay, now give me an example. If you are, say, taking up a cable, taking it back to land, I mean, that's quite an intensive job. You're going to have to take up a huge amount of cable. Is it done in sections? How does it work?
It can be. I suppose it all depends on what cable you require, because you don't need the whole system.
Yeah.
So it's done in larger chunks.
Right. So they're sort of chopping the cable into certain chunks,
Yeah.
and then taking it back on land, renovating it, re-engineering it,
Yes.
putting it back, doing the next chunk.
Yes. And the lifted cable can be jointed on board the ship if you were using the cable vessel, but it is generally, yes, taken back to the...
Okay, give us an example then. I suppose it depends on the type of ship though, but how much cable could your average size cabling ship take up on board? I mean, do you have that, or would you give us an idea of that?
So I think you do have a decent few thousand to 3,000 kilometers on a cable vessel, so it is a considerable length.
So it's quite a considerable amount that you could get in one go.
Yes, I mean,
providing...
on a freighter, oh, sorry.
Yeah, shall I carry on?
So on a freighter, it's got much higher capacity, so you can lift a lot more cable that way, depending on how it's configured internally.
Okay, and just lastly, in terms of recycling cable, is this a growth industry as such, or is cable now getting out of date and it effectively has to be abandoned and new cable put down?
So a lot of the older systems, the regenerative systems, the repeaters or the regenerators can't actually be upgraded, but a lot of the cable can. It's still suitable for newer systems. And these systems are retired or being retired. So there is a lot of cable under the sea that we can recycle and reuse.
And I suppose that's environmentally beneficial as well, isn't it?
Yes, especially in certain areas, the Mediterranean, for example, where there's a lot of cables. It frees up more space underwater as well, as because there's only certain routes you can take, and a lot of them are already taken. Like all the prime locations are already taken, so it does free up more space as well.
Great. Alan Proudfoot, thank you very much.